we get started, I do want to ask you to like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. It really does help the channel a lot. It helps the YouTube algorithm find out what you want to watch and lets them know that I'm making good videos for you. Okay, so if you could just like, subscribe, you know, it's completely free to you. It really helps me out. Do appreciate it. Oh, my dog just barked. And yeah, enjoy the video. What's up, everybody? This is Fenyks-Gaming here with another episode of Raid Shadowlegends. And today I'm going to be highlighting a one-key team that I put together that did not use Inquisitor Shamael in its composition. I had already used Inquisitor Shamael this week, trying out Ninja, and today I decided to build Septimus so that I could try him out in Hydra. Some mixed results with him, but that's okay. Quick overview of the stats here: 4K, over 4K attack, 230 crit damage, speed 210, so he's a little fast. Defense not important, HP not important. I do actually want him to die periodically, just in case he gets the mark of the Hydra. Just going through some of the glyphs here because I didn't quite finish his gear, and even still some of his accessories aren't done. As you can see, I don't really have a lot of set bonuses on him. I have divine crit rate on him, which is, you know, just so I can meet those thresholds. I did not get an ignore defense set on him, unfortunately. I did not have the stats in my available gear. I went ahead and spent the gems to max out his masteries just because I wanted a honest to goodness review, and I didn't want to go through and farm it all through Minotaur. Also didn't have time, just wanted to get this video out here for you. I did mention in the last Hydra video that I was interested in building him so I could single target a specific Hydra head down. Here I am just making sure that we get as much stats as we can before we go into the run. And this took me a couple tries. This wasn't like a one-shot kind of thing, and he wasn't incredibly overpowered on these lower difficulties, and that's because of the max HP of these Hydra heads is actually pretty low, so he wasn't able to do tons and tons of damage. Okay, so you'll see that, like, best case scenario, I think he was doing 160k hits with his A2, and then 30 to 45k hits with his A1, which isn't terrible, but on these lower difficulties, he's not optimal, right? So he's gonna really start shining in those higher difficulties when the max HP of the Hydra heads is higher. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and skip ahead to the fight. This is my first iteration of the team. I did want to bring Tyrant in here, so I get those HP burns. And my first try here, I was like, hey, let's double down on that enemy max HP damage, and let's bring in Royal Guard. As you're going to see, that's not really going to work out because my Royal Guard's not built terribly well, and again, the max HP of these Hydra heads just isn't super high, so we're not doing a ton of damage. Now, when building a Hydra team, I'm looking for a couple things, right? Obviously, damage. I want to be able to hurt these heads enough so that I can get these keys, right? Also, I need to have a variety of damage dealers, because let's say I only bring in one primary damage dealer. He gets eaten by a Hydra head. How am I going to get him out? Then the run's effectively over at that point. Okay, and in this case, you know, my concerns were legitimate because Septimus was the first one to get the mark of the Hydra. So if I didn't have a Royal Guard, there was no hope in getting him out by any means other than Tyrant's HP burn, and that can be tough to execute simply because it's not always a good time to place that HP burn, right? So if that first head on the far left still has the AoE cleanse up, then you don't really want to put on the HP burn, so it's not always an ideal time. So we saw Septimus doing, let's go back and see if we can get, so this is the start. I think, no, it's not the start. Alright, so this is the start. Okay, so we have the attack up. We don't have a defense down. We don't have a weaken on the enemy team. Here's those Septimus's A2 rather. 135k, no debuffs. That's some pretty significant damage for sure, but it is single target. If that was what Royal Guard was doing across the board, then that would be super powerful, but it's not. We're going to see Royal Guard's damage here right now. Well, not right now, but here in a second. Once he gets a turn. Here we go. Right, so significantly less per head, but cumulatively 220k across the board. So 70, 70, 50, and then for some reason it didn't hit this one head here. Again, just kind of doing the dance of buff, debuff, cleanse, etc. And circle back. What I'm looking for in a Hydra team is the ability to buff myself, cleanse the enemy debuffs, and cleanse the enemy debuffs, cleanse the enemy buffs, and then debuff them. Right? This team is lacking there because I don't have a method with which to cleanse the enemy buffs. So that was a bit of an issue that I started realizing early on, and you'll see I don't get terribly far. We'll go ahead and fast forward a little bit. Oh, I restarted the run right there. Fast forward a little bit here. No, still a little too late. I got to about 1 million damage before I realized that this team just wasn't going to work. Right, Septimus was dying a little too early, wasn't doing enough damage. Look at all that. Look how healthy all the heads are. Okay, I really wasn't getting to where I needed to be. I was able to bust the shield on this one and stun it, but that's not a huge victory there. So fast forward to the next run. We brought in Madam because I wanted to see if I could increase the amount of damage I was doing significantly, and of course cleanse their buffs once they stole and spread mine. But I ran into a bit of a conundrum because I didn't want to keep delaying Septimus' damage, but so I would send out Madam's defense break early on, and then it would just get cleansed off of them, and then we were back to square one. So she was able to wipe their buffs pretty successfully with her aid 2, and then put a block buffs on us, or block debuffs on us. But ultimately, there just wasn't enough damage in this team, and you'll see here in a little bit. I'll fast forward to when Septimus gets eaten. I believe it was the Head of Mischief that eats him. At this point, we have a pretty good chance of getting Septimus out of there, but it's going to rely heavily upon Tyrant's HP burn and getting that out. And frankly, my Tyrant's a little slow. I'll show his gear a little later on in the video. He's a little under-geared, so during the next fusion, I'm probably going to redo his gear setup so that we can perform better at Hydra. And it's going to help me in other places. It's going to help me in places like Spider. Probably won't improve too much in Spider because my Spider team's already pretty good. But here we go, tossing out that HP burn. Lands on 3 of them because that Head of Mischief has the block debuffs up on him. And we're getting pretty close to clearing out clearing Septimus out of that Hydra head. Alright, so decent time to throw up the Brogding buffs because we're 2 turns away from the debuffs, the buff spread from the Head of Mischief. Okay, so he already used the cleanse to take off the HP burn from the Head of Torment, which is a little unfortunate because we need all of them really to clear Septimus out. We're going to see if we can knock some of these debuffs off. That one was a failure, I believe. That did not work. And then Godseeker was feared, and so was Brogding. I was getting a really bad RNG here in the fight. Not a huge issue. Pretty sure we're getting Septimus. Yep, we're getting Septimus out here in just a sec. And then the fight continued. But I'm going to fast forward through this fight just a little bit. So you can see it doesn't really pan out, right? So we're at turn 32 at 1.7 million damage, and that's really just not much. Because the fight gets more difficult as it goes on for several reasons. Namely, everyone's just a little less healthy. Their health keeps getting destroyed a little bit more, so it's easier to kill something like Septimus, and he's our primary damage dealer here, other than Tyrant. And I say other than Tyrant. Tyrant is actually doing a lot of damage with those HP burns. But we'll fast forward here again. And ultimately, it was around turn 42, 2 million damage that I decided this comp's not really ideal. So let's move forward. Okay, it was at this point that I decided Drexthar, right? Why Drexthar? And this is good news. This is good news. Because he's available to everyone. Free to play, low spend, whales, whatever. He's available to everyone as long as you're doing those 3v3 arenas. Drexthar, because I could more consistently keep up an HP burn. It wasn't on a 3-turn cooldown. I didn't have to wait because every turn, effectively, he had an opportunity to put up an HP burn. Especially if he's getting AoE'd or hit at all, he has a chance to put up an HP burn. So I do believe we had a failed run at this. And the catch with HP burn is a bit of a wind-up, right? Because you have to get set up properly. But it's still a very effective method to take down these Hydra heads, right? See what kind of damage here we're doing with his A2. Boom, 120k on that first head, and that is positive affinity. So, other than like strong hits, that's probably nearing the cap for him, especially when there's no debuffs on the enemy, like defense break and weaken. So, proof of concept here, if you just look, turn 23, 1.8 million damage, yes, but look at how the heads are kind of all falling at a similar rate, except for this third head here. Its HP isn't going down that much, but everybody else's is. So let's keep going. Fast forward a little bit. And I'm skipping some of the boring parts because it's not terribly important to see all the details. You kind of get the gist of it, right? So you play the dance of when do I buff, when do I debuff, when do I cleanse, right? This team doesn't have the option of like cleansing the enemy's buffs, but we're being selective about what buffs we do give them most of the time. As you can see, this layout right here, it's not ideal because I gave them a lot of Brogni buffs, and there was, and they do have that ally protect from them as well. That might be I forget what it's called, their version of it. They do have a specific perk going along, or buff going along with their ally protect that's unique to Hydra. So this is when Brogni was taken and went on the head of mischief. I think I re-rolled this run. I definitely re-rolled this run. You're gonna see here shortly. My hard drive that my OBS was recording to got full because my recording destination was actually the incorrect one. So we'll skip forward to this, to that, and yeah, we're gonna get into the last run here shortly. But still, you see this proof of concept, right? 3.3 million damage. This is with mistakes, and the majority of the heads are below 50%. So 3 out of 4 heads are below 50%. You're able to save Brogni. Tyrant's in there right now, which means the HP burns are all coming from Drexthar, but we were able to free Tyrant using Septimus' A2. Because he does a considerable amount of damage with that, even when there's not defense break or weaken on the enemy team. And this is when we actually caught up in the run because we freed one before another one was eaten, and it wasn't in the same turn rate of the 3-turn gap / disparity. But Septimus does keep going down, so we have to work out something to make him a little more substantial. And I might be trying a build with an HP percent chest instead of attack percent. It's going to lower his damage capacity quite a bit, I think. But I'm not entirely certain because, especially on the higher difficulties, it might be prudent of me to put him in HP percent because the majority of the damage is going to come from the enemy max HP multipliers as opposed to his own attack multipliers. His attack multipliers on his A2 is only 2.5, and then the enemy max HP multipliers scale up quite a bit more as you get into the higher difficulties because the max HP increases so much. Okay, so we're gonna keep fast forwarding here. Alright, actually, so let's rewind here. This team right here, I mean, this team right here does show strong promise, and I don't think I actually did another run. I think this was the one that I stuck with. 3 out of 4 heads are about to go down, which is huge, right? That is huge. I've never gotten there before with another comp. Even Shamael and Torment's going down, and we don't have, the only way we're cleansing that fear is with Doom Priest, which is her passive. So she's really effective with the right comp. And it is important to note she is significantly faster than most everyone on the team. I would say significantly. Okay, so she's around 250, maybe 270. I don't know, and I think I have room for glyphing her. But okay, so Septimus got eaten again. And I think I actually lose Septimus here. Because of that shield. Which is unfortunate. Yep, I have 1 turn left. No way to get that damage out. Yep, and Septimus is gone. And this is when the run starts falling apart, but we did last a lot longer than I expected to after this. Yeah. So it actually ended up working out pretty well. So let's move forward a little bit. Okay, so this is when Brogni was taken by the Head of Mischief, which obviously is an issue, but we still have ways to get HP burn out. So Brogni's about to get taken by the Head of Mischief. Look, everybody's under HP burn. This is a promising scenario, even though we're lacking our nuker, right? Brogni is now taken by the Head of Mischief. 2 turns on the AoE cleanse, 2 turns on the single target cleanse, and at least 2 turns on HP burns across the board. So I was optimistic at this point that we were going to get him out. It was basically just get damage out there. And I accidentally clicked the Head of Torment there because I was toggling back and forth between OBS and the run. So I was a little disgruntled when I did that, but whatever. So 1 turn on those cleanses. At this point, though, I was just scrambling to get to 6.6k, or 6.7 rather, so we could call this a 1 key. Alright, cleanse is about to go out, so let me switch over the recordings, because this one my hard drive got full. Switch over the recordings. Okay, we're back. Didn't really miss anything. We did lose Brogni. I was optimistic, but we didn't get him. And here it's just a scramble to get to that 1 key. Alright. AoE cleanse is coming up, but even still, I dropped that HP burn because I really didn't anticipate lasting much longer. Which probably could be considered a mistake because Tyrant did last another turn. So I could have dropped it right here, and there's no way for them to have a block debuffs up. Godseeker's now in there, so my insurance policy is locked up. Not enough HP burns out there. 1 turn left on the Hydra, the Mark of the Hydra, and right now I'm just praying that we can get enough HP burns out to finish the run. Right, Strexstar, 3 HP burns out there. It's looking decent. It's just AoE get some damage out there. And he hurts. He has good multipliers on his A2 that provoke. Even though you can't land a provoke on these guys, those multipliers are decent. So I'm thinking about redoing his gear so that he is crit capped with decent crit damage. And as you can see, those HP burns got us to 7 million, which makes it a 1 key. Wouldn't say easy, but it's definitely doable. Tyrant might be tough for some people to get. Septimus is a flex. You can bring in somebody else for Septimus here. Maybe somebody to strip their buffs. Maybe somebody who does an AoE enemy max HP attack like Husk or Royal Guard. Those would be solid bets. And then, Tyrant, he's not in everybody's roster, but it's a lot easier to get somebody like Mordecai, or if you have an alternative like Ignatius. Sissia would probably be a little too squishy. Well, Mordecai might be too squishy too, but you can build him as a tanky support rather than Sissia. She is there to do damage. You just want to get those AoE HP burns out there, or if you have 2 Drexlars even, Or if you have another champ that does single target HP burn, between that and Drexthar, you know, as long as that single target HP burn is on a short cooldown, like if you put accuracy on Underpriest Brogni, I might not need to bring an extra Tyrant. I don't have accuracy on Underpriest Brogni because he's built for my clan boss, and I don't want to override Geomancer's HP burn with his own, because then I lose the benefit of Geomancers. So, you know, Geomancer, if you have a fast Geomancer, he's a good HP burn to bring. He's got to be beefy enough. Or if you had Drexthar in a debuff spread, you know, like what's his name, Vizier Velis. You know, we just had that event not too long ago. A good number of people probably still have him. I am thinking about building a Riho Vizier team so that she can apply all of her debuffs, and then Vizier can spread them in. There are a ton of debuffs, so that would be really useful. But yeah, this is just looking at Tyrant's gear. It's really weak. You know, almost all of it's 5-star. So there's definitely room for improvement, and the 6-star stuff is 6-star rare, so you can definitely get some more stats out of him. You can see his crit rate is low. That would bring a lot of damage if we just put him in some crit captain, because that AoE doesn't actually have decent multipliers. And then same thing, let's look over Drexthar. Thought to myself, well, at least Drexthar's gear is good, and then no, it's not. It's all 5-star gear, except for his amulet here. So there's definitely room for improvement for Drexthar. He's not even at 4k defense. We could probably get him up to 5k if we were really diligent, and then if we can get him up to 100% crit rate, he would be doing a lot of damage, right? Beefy boy. And as you can, you know, if we rewind back to the run, you know, let's look at Drexthar standing here solo. No heals, absolutely no sustain whatsoever, just his brute defense, and he's hardly taking any damage. Right, the only reason he died so quickly is because he got hit. Right, I know those multipliers weren't great because I don't have him built for damage. I don't have crit damage on him. He's not crit capped, and not incredibly high defense. So, you know, there's room for improvement there. But yeah, guys, that's probably going to be where we call this video. Just another idea for a Hydra comp for you that can one key, you know, normal, which is honestly that's an honest to goodness goal for people right now. One key normal, so you can throw a couple keys at hard and maybe get one or two of the, you know, some of the chests out of there. Or you can just help your clan fully down normal, so you get double chests each week. But all right, guys, we're gonna call the video there. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Turn on your notifications so that we can, you know, let you know every time we upload a video. We will be uploading videos very frequently, and hopefully improving the quality and getting stuff out that you want to see for Raid Shadow Legends. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great one.